All right, those are great films. Really enjoyed programming them. So we'll go down the line for a little bit. And so, Matt, the first question, and the question for everyone, we'll start with you, Matt. How did you discover this little hidden piece of history, and what compelled you that you needed to make a film out of it? And also, please introduce yourself and the name of your film, just so everyone has it in order.
Cool, thank you. So I'm Matt Kay, director of Black Godfather, Scuba, and thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Doc NYC. It's great to be here. Great to be back, and great festival. Congrats to the other filmmakers. So I saw an article on Doc Jones in National Geographic. It was just a small kind of little square, and I think filmmaking is always a great excuse to go into someone else's world, to dive into someone else's world. And I actually do scuba dive, and so I love. It gave me an excuse, really. I was just basically being nosy and thought that it was the thing that caught my attention was that during the Middle Passage, over 2 million slaves lost their lives from ships that actually sunk. And so he was trying to reclaim that bit of history and to memorialize, in a sense. And so I had no idea it was such a high figure, and only 6 have been discovered, and he's discovered all 6 of them. And so it was from that I thought he's doing really important work, and he's 95, and so I thought time isn't on our side, so I tried to jump in there.
Great. Celia.
Hi, I'm Celia Anaskovic. Taking Back the Groove was my film, and if you guys will humor me really quickly, we have Richie and Jerome with us tonight, so I'd love for them to stand up so we could give them a round of applause. Come on, guys, stand up! This was Jerome's first time seeing the film, and Richie's second. It was also the first time most of Richie's family, you probably heard them here, saw the film. So we're very happy to have everybody here. Interestingly enough, this story came to me through someone I went to high school with, Duncan Lindsay, who's in the crowd right now, who then, our producer, Roddy Lindsay, his brother, came to me and said, I love Richie's music. I love this music in general. We know you make documentaries. Would you have any interest? And there was also a sort of little article that we read. I talked to Jerome. I went to visit Richie in Newark, New Jersey, and I said, Richie's music was not something I knew about before, but Richie's fight is the fight of all artists, and it just felt at a time when we were talking about, also, can I just say it's amazing that we're making this film and premiering this film as the writer's strike and the actor's strike is ending, and so to be having this conversation while this was going on felt so important. Raekwon, who is one of our executive producers, said it the other day, musicians don't have unions in the same way, right? And so it's really important that people know that they can get their copyrights back and that they can do this, and we love that we have a happy ending to a film like this. So thank you.
Hey, I'm Jordan Horowitz. I directed Jack and Sam. To be honest, I never thought I would make a Holocaust-related story. I just didn't think there was anything I could add to it that hadn't already been said before. But I was just so inspired by this beautiful story of friendship, something that survived and endured 80 years, and this story about 2 people that went through some of the worst suffering in human history. I was just so moved by that, and I felt like it was a story just waiting to be told. And the other thing that really drew me to it is, at the time, going back a year and a half when I shot the film, it felt very timely to me. Jack talks about it in the film. He's very concerned about, even a year and a half ago, there's a lot of anti-Semitism happening in Los Angeles, where I live, and all over the world. And it was just something I wanted to try to find a way to lend my voice to that conversation. And I felt like I could do that through this story. I had no idea how much more topical and relevant it would become. It's still something I'm still processing, but yeah, I think that's what drew me to it.
Hi, my name is Jalena Keane-Lee, and I'm the director of Tracing History and was also in it. What drew me to this story, we worked in collaboration with the Forest Service, who is the caretaker of these sites, and they really wanted a filmmaker to come and create a story about these sites. And I was like talking to my producer. I thought they would want something a lot more traditional, but she was like, no, just pitch like what you'd actually want to make. So I pitched them this story that is really personal and poetic and lyrical and about connection to land and ancestors in your past. And they ended up going for it, and it was a really beautiful experience to make. And I'm so grateful to Doc NYC and the programming team for this beautiful curation. It felt like all the films were really speaking to each other in a great way. And I also want to give a shout out to my cinematographer, Aurora Brockman, who's in the audience. Thank you.
So Jalena, was it difficult to get your mother to agree to go on the film, to make the film with you?
It wasn't difficult, but I don't know if she knew exactly what she was in for. But it was such a beautiful experience to get to share together. And I think a really big thing that I learned and was processing through the making of the film is that history, it is something that's in the past, but it's also in the present. And something that we were trying to work on is in our family, things that are painful aren't really talked about. I think it's a cultural thing, but I also think, it's really widespread. And then also these narratives are erased out of history. So it's like a double erasure that's happening. And I kind of realized that I wasn't even telling her about things that were painful or hard in my own life. So I was kind of replicating that even in the present day. So it was really an effort to claim that the history is being made in the present. And I think that's so relevant with all of these projects. And I think a lot of the words around, dehumanizing language we're seeing today, and genocide that's happening in Palestine, in the Congo, and in Sudan. So I just urge everyone to, really acknowledge that history, it is in the past, but it's also something that we individually and collectively are shaping every day. And it's something that is in the present as well.
Well, Jordan, did you have any trouble with getting Jack and Sam to? How did you build trust with them? I guess is wanted to say, because they've had that story for a long time and they've shared it. But how did you get them to share it with you and share it in this film?
I mean, building trust in a documentary is kind of like the $1 million question, right? It's not an easy thing to do. I didn't know them before this. I found out about it through a small feel-good website that I like to go on and browse. And I don't know. I guess I just asked them very authentically. I told them what I wanted to do. I wanted to just be as honest as I could and just tell a story about love and friendship. And I just asked if they would let me do that. They were probably hesitant at first. There were long days, and they're both very old. Sam actually, unfortunately, passed away a few weeks ago. Luckily, we have this film, so his legacy can live on. And Jack's 99, and he's still, man, he's got so much energy. We had a screening with 400 people, and at the end of the night, when I left, because I was tired, he was still there talking to people. So he closed the place down. So he's amazing. He's incredible. But I don't know exactly how to answer that question, other than I just try to be as honest and forthcoming as I can with them, and let them know that I'm going to do the best job to tell their story as accurately and as honestly as I can. And also I was able to show them some of my past work, which I think kind of helped with that a little bit as well. But if I had more time to develop a friendship before making the film, I would have loved to do that. But I just kind of had to jump in right away. So kind of built trust on the fly, I guess. Yeah.
So Celia, was the same question, with someone that has been cheated out of so much. How did you step in and get that? Having seen the article, how do you step in and gain that trust to make sure that they'll trust you and they'll share with you on the film?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll start by saying, as you probably saw in the film, Richie's one of the most trusting people I know generally. There's that moment where he says when Jerome called him, and I always say, you never met the guy. You just trusted this guy out of the blue. So base level, Richie's a very trusting person. But I also think, filmmaking is a team sport. And we had a great team who really talked through the whole, my vision, but everybody's vision. We had, cinematographers, we had crew members that were on every shoot and got to know Richie, and we sort of became like a little family. And then we went out to Chicago and saw Jerome, and there was, another little family that was formed. And I'd be remiss not to mention as I've mentioned before, but again, the enormous family that Richie has that supports him. So not only were we trying to gain Richie's trust and Jerome's trust, but gaining the trust of the whole family. And I will say I've never really done it quite like this, in that I asked Jerome and Richie to not see the film before we premiered it with an audience. And seeing that film with Richie and Trinell, his daughter, for the first time in Ohio a couple weeks ago was an absolutely incredible experience. And I just felt really strongly that this was a film that needed to be seen with an audience. It's a film that we hope you're singing and dancing to by the end. And so I wanted them to have that experience, and they really just trusted me to do that. And I think, again, you know, another part of it, as you probably heard in the film and was really important to us, is like Richie's music's in the film. And we paid to license Richie's music for the film. Like, that is really important. And if anyone would like to license Richie's music again for more films that you're using, there are lots of people here you can talk to, including Feingold Music over there, who helped us license the music, and Jerome, his manager. So I urge you to do that if you'd like to.
And so, Matt, how did you get to know Doc? Did you just show up on the dive boat and you know, head off to a reef with him, or how did that come to be, and how did you gain his trust?
Well, Doc, over the years, he was a bit more suspicious, and there's been times where people have kind of misrepresented him, or he's kind of been completely written out of history. And so some of the medals that you saw that he'd won in the newspaper articles at the time, this was in the late 50s, 60s, they would just take a picture of the person that got second place or third place, even though he won, because he's obviously black and then the other people were white. And so he's often, because of that, had a history of mistrust, I guess. So I was starting with on the back foot, as it were. But yeah, I also showed some of my other projects before I got on the dive boat, and it did help that I was a diver and we could talk about diving, and then I was just kind of trying to tell him my vision and what I wanted. And producer Andy Carver is here as well. We both came over from London, just arrived a couple hours ago, and Andy helped a lot with that as well. But Doc's number was online, and I found it, and I just called him up, and then had a conversation, and then that conversation turned to a Zoom, and then several Zooms later we went to his house, and his family were all very, very supportive, and he had incredible amounts of archive as well, which he was also a little bit precious of initially, but then we were able to get our hands on that as well. And yeah, I think after you get a relationship with someone, they kind of understand what you're trying to do, and get a sense and believe with what you're trying to make. I think that helps a lot, and then they're invested in the vision, and then you just get really nervous, I think, at times like this when they be seeing it. But thankfully he enjoyed the film and liked it.
Excellent. So I'm going to open it up to audience questions. I just want to let the filmmakers know if there's anyone in the audience you want to acknowledge that you haven't already, please feel free to. Anyone? All right. So anyone with questions out there? All right. There we go. So the question is, what's next for the journey of this film to get it out to more festivals and for more people to see it?
Okay. Well, for Tracing History, we're going to be playing at the Museum of Modern Art on November 30th with Future of Film is Female, and then we'll be playing in some more film festivals next year, and we're hoping to release for Asian American History Month in May.
Yeah, we're just continuing to do the film festival route, and we're very lucky that we have some incredible producers and executive producers who joined our team to try to help us with our outreach, and we're just kind of doing whatever we can to get it in front of people. So we feel like it's a story that really needs to be seen, especially now. So we're just festivals and then also like awards things, just anything we can, and just get it in front of people. So.
Yeah, I just add, it goes without saying, but short films are a labor of love. You don't do them to, no one's making a lot of money off a short film, right? Like, you're not doing it for that reason. And so we're all up here, I think, because we really cared about these stories. And so, for us, one of the things that's really important, because our film is sort of a call to action, is doing the festival run, but also getting it in schools and universities. And, Richie, we always talk about it, like, if one person can get their rights back because they watched this film and they learned about it, that'll be worth the whole thing. So that's really our goal for this too.
Yeah, I think similarly we'd like Doc's initiative, Diving with a Purpose, to just get more funding, more recognition, and we've got a few other screenings. There's one in St. Louis tomorrow, one in Virginia, and the Smithsonian. It's going to have a run there, and then yeah, hopefully a platform after that.
Great. All right, and there.
Does Doc still dive, and is the Underwater Adventures Club still active?
Great question. So when I first spoke to him, he did say he did still dive, but he hadn't dived since COVID, and so that was 2020, and I think that took a lot out of him. And so our plan was to film him diving, but then he didn't feel up to it. So he's I'm not saying he doesn't dive. He may dive again, but he's not done one since 2020. And Underwater Adventure Seekers is one of the top 10 oldest clubs in the world, and it was the first black club that was founded, and one of the oldest, still going. And so it's still thriving and got a big membership, 3,000 members.
All right, you're in the front.
If it's in the contract, right, that he has this 50%, why is it difficult to get it back? It seems like that should be straightforward.
Jerome, do you want to answer this?
Because the label can tell you they didn't make any money. And
in the court?
yeah, you can go to court, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're going to lose. Because ultimately, to be able to prove they owe you money, you have to have the receipts. The only people that have the receipts are the label.
I see.
And even if they have to do discovery,
I see.
they're going to say, hey, that's all we have, an Excel spreadsheet.
So they claim they make no money from it. I see.
Or they can't find it, or the company's been sold a bunch of times and they don't know where it is. Yeah. Even for what it's worth, like that number on screen, which I'm so glad you all responded so well to that 9,000 number. We did a screening where people cheered, and I was like, that's not a good number. But even figuring out what that number was, I mean, Jerome and I went back and forth, like, it's hard to figure out even, like, yeah, it's just everything is tough.
All right, so we're gonna have to end. I have one quick question I always like to ask. What is it? What are you moving? You're all promoting this film, and taking it through. What's jazzing you for your next? What are you doing next, or what's exciting you about the next part of your journey?
With this film?
With life. Like, do you have a new project you want to talk about? Do you, or is there something that you're excited about?
Yeah, lots I'm excited about. I think that's quite a long question, but I'll try keep it short. Well, in terms of keeping on theme, Doc is his organization, Diving with a Purpose. They're trying to actually now find the Marcus Garvey lines of ship liners, and so we're talking about maybe doing a project with that and Marcus Garvey's son, who's now trying to find that and show the money that he raised, which is equivalent of $180 million in present day, with no social media, obviously. So that's a project I'm working on at the moment.
Great.
So Richie is releasing new music, as you saw. So we're really excited about that. You can buy a record, you can buy a CD. Go home and add him to your Spotify playlist. We're really excited about that. And because I'm in New York, I must mention that the film I'm currently working on is about Christmas tree salesmen in New York City. So when you go to buy your Christmas tree this year, have a look for us, because we will be running all over the city.
I'm really excited. Also, I forgot to mention, we're trying to do schools and synagogues and things like that as well. So that's a great thing for this film. I'm really just trying to get into as many people as I can. And I'm also putting the finishing touches on a film that I just about to finish, that I'm really excited about. It's a short documentary about a Ukrainian refugee family here in America and a group of strangers from around the world who came together to help get their cat out of Ukraine and reunited with their young daughter. So it's a really sweet story. Hopefully I'll get to bring it here next year.
With Tracing History, we're hoping that someone who's in archaeology will take interest in the site that we went to, because so far there's been no official research about it because it's a little bit hard to access. So we're hoping that, and that more people get out to the sites in general to connect with the land. And then tracing history in general was a bit of a side mission for me, and I'm working on completing my first feature, which is called Standing Above the Clouds, and follows Native Hawaiian mother-daughter activists that are protecting their sacred mountain called Mauna Kea from the building of the world's largest telescope, and that's set to be released in 2024.
All right, thank you so much to everyone coming out. Thank you to our filmmakers.